Hello and welcome back to the Puncher's Chance podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be reviewing Opetaia versus Nyika, Callum Simpson's card as well, talking about Tyson Fury's big news, as well as the Ring Magazine Awards. This is our only show this week, so just the one, but make sure you subscribe. 2 episodes next week, almost every week, so subscribe for all of that. And straight into, I suppose, the big news, if we choose to believe it. Tyson Fury's retired from the sport of boxing.
For the 10th time in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the general sentiment, isn't it? Nobody, but it's like the boy who cries wolf. If this is actually the time he retires, then no one's believing him because he said it too many times before. But it's just seems odd timing.
If it is, though, I think he's had an incredible career. Let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
He's had one of the best trilogy fight series that I've ever seen, and yeah, I think it's the 4th time that he's announced that he's retiring.
It's more than that.
It must be, but I saw on TalkSport it was 4 times. But when he fought, I want to say Dillian White at Wembley, he said in that ring that night, "That's it for me. I'm going home." And then he comes back. He's just addicted to the sport, like we all are. It is a little bit disappointing, but in the same way, it's quite smart by Fury, I think, because if he says now he's retired, and the story, the narrative then of that AJ fight is that, oh, you got me out of retirement to fight Anthony Joshua. More money.
Extra money. But I think Eddie Hearn hasn't said it quite that blatantly, because obviously his relationship with Turkey and Frank these days is different than it was. If this was 3-4 years ago, Eddie Hearn straight on the interview, he's talking rubbish, he's full of crap, he's not retiring, he just wants more money, we're not buying it, all of this. But obviously we're in a different sort of landscape.
I'd be shocked if we don't see him back in the ring by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think the difference is, though, now is he's lost twice.
Yeah.
Something that's never happened to him before, and so I don't know him, you don't know him. That could have affected him in a way that we don't know, in terms of mentally speaking, that he doesn't have the love for the game anymore. It's possible. He seemed pretty pissed off after both fights. Obviously, Usyk only won the first one because his country was at war. We all know that, as he said. And then the second one, he said he didn't think was a fair decision, and he, as you know, took it out on electric cars, I think, in his press conference. But I just think we don't know how the losses have affected him. It might be that he has just lost faith in the sport if he genuinely believes he won both fights.
Well, he said in the retirement video that he felt he was, he kind of gave a hint that he thought he was robbed in both fights, and he was beaten in both, so I don't see the argument for it. But I'd be very shocked if he walks away from that AJ fight. The amount of money they're going to get paid for that, and I think it is just a tactical thing to get a bit more money for that fight. But I fully believe either in the summer or late this year we'll get Fury against AJ.
Surely in the summer. I think the money that's in that, and they're both household names in this country, that I think if they got that fight on, that would put a halt to the country, and everyone would be watching it. Everyone would be interested in it. We saw with the first fight with Usyk that both of them were on front pages of newspapers. Where has that ever happened in boxing before? And can you imagine if AJ and him fought? All the newspaper outlets would be looking at it and putting them on the front cover. But if it doesn't happen, it has the same feeling of an Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder sort of fight, where we were promised it, we were told we were going to have it, they were building up to it, and we've never got it. And now we've built up to Fury AJ. Fury's like, well, when I get through Alexander Usyk, which he didn't, I'll take on AJ. And now he lost. He's not even going to fight AJ now.
I suppose the difference is, though, that with Wilder, we didn't get it in both their primes when we wanted to see it, and now we could see it, but just no one cares for it because we all expect Wilder to get, flattened is the problem. Whereas this one, they are both not champions. They have both lost. They are, for the first time in a long while, not in a position of strength. But actually, that makes a great fight because it's, who is the best of the rest? Who is the best in Britain? Bar Daniel Dubois. So it does make sense as a fight, and even more annoyingly, obviously we'll get into some of this stuff in a bit more detail later, but the Ring Magazine, Turki Alasheikh's own company, possibly putting on fights in the UK coming up, like we're gonna get onto. That is a little bone, as we actually could maybe see AJ versus Fury in the UK, because it might not be a Riyadh season show, it might be a Ring Magazine show, but if it doesn't happen, It will be annoying. It will be really annoying.
I think there's two ways that they can do it. If it's in the summer, I think it happens in the UK. But if it's a bit later on, like October, November, I think it's a season opener for Riyadh season. Again,
It'd make a really good 5v5 main event.
Right.
It would. But then even again, in the winter, stick it in the Principality with the roof on.
I would not be against
do you know what
that.
I mean? You know, it might not be Wembley, but you've still got 75, 80,000 in there. You've got a roof, so it's not weather dependent. Who says no? Not me, not you. We'll get onto some of that maybe a little bit more later when we talk about some of the Ring Magazine stuff. But for the time being, we've had some good boxing over the last week or so. It feels ages ago now, but Jai Opetaia beat David Nyika in what actually turned out to be an unbelievable card in general. I thought really entertaining, but a brilliant main event and some performance from Opetaia.
Yeah, really impressive. You've got to give credit to Nyika for getting in there. I think it was just a case of a bit too soon in his career, but he had to take the opportunity that was given to him. He showed a lot of heart, but it was just you could see the class difference between the two and why Opetaia is regarded as the best cruiserweight in the world. And there's only one fight to make a cruiserweight now, and that's with him and Ramirez for the undisputed at cruiserweight before. I don't know where he moves on from here. Obviously, he'd have to get through that first, but he just looks so impressive every time you watch him.
Yeah, I think we see that fight this year. I have no doubt that we see that fight this year. You know, both of them have fought in Saudi Arabia, and they've shown the interest, and they've worked in Oscar de la Hoya, and all these guys are working out. And I just think it just makes complete sense. It's going to happen, isn't it? Realistically, and that's such a great place to be in that you don't have to be like, I really hope we get that fight. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, you're like, well, we're just going to get that fight, and one of them will be the champion with all the belts, and I think that's brilliant.
I don't even think Zurdo Ramirez causes him any problems as well. I don't
That
think
seems harsh.
He's a very good fighter.
They're both very good, but I think Jai Opetaia is something special. We saw in this fight against Nyika, he did get rocked a little bit, Opetaia, and then he came back to the corner and then came out for the third round, and then what was it, the fourth round he stopped him, and I think you put in the group chat, what was it, January 8th, knockout of the year. I think we've just seen the knockout of the year 8 days into the new year, which is incredible, but you got to give props to Nyika as well, because what I've seen is people above him in the cruiserweight division got offered this fight with Opetaia and said, no, we're not touching him, we don't want anything to do with him, and Nyika stepped up to the plate and put in a good showing for as long as it lasted. And yeah, it's just, Jai Opetaia is something very, very special, and I wouldn't be shocked if he gets that fight with Zurdo, gets through that, and then afterwards, I think they did after this fight as well, start calling out a certain Ukrainian fighter that was probably on the top of everyone's pound for pound list, for him then to go to become great.
I still think that's disrespectful to Zurdo Ramirez. I think, you know, if we the amount of times we've said, I can't wait for Billum Smith Opetaia if that happens, and I'm sure if it was Billum Smith Opetaia and Billum Smith had beaten Zurdo Ramirez, we wouldn't be sat here going, Billum Smith's got no chance against Opetaia. We'd be saying, he's got every chance, he's a great cruiserweight. And Zurdo Ramirez, albeit fought at super middleweight, fought at light heavyweight, is a great cruiserweight. He's proven that by how comfortably he beat Chris Billum Smith. And I just don't think I don't necessarily think he's the favourite against Opetaia, but you can't write him off and say, you know, Opetaia walks through him.
I think it makes a really good fight.
Exactly.
It does make for a good fight, and I'll certainly watch it, but I just think Jai Opetaia is on another level.
I do tend to agree. I think he wins that fight, 8 times out of 10 maybe, but those 2 times out of 10 could be the one that comes first, and you can't write him off for that, I think.
In a way, he's got the same sort of feelings with Dimitri Bivol after Beterbiev fight, don't it? Where everyone probably went with Bivol, but everyone was like, oh, well, what about Beterbiev? Nah, he's got no chance, age and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
and look what happened in that fight.
That's a man there you could put him against Opetaia, really, in Artur Beterbiev if he does get through Bivol. There's talks about him wanting to maybe move up to cruiserweight, and I think, you know, you don't give Artur Beterbiev a few taster fights to kind of build him up. He doesn't need it, does he? You know, it would be 2 men that, I mean, there's, like we said it before, guaranteed KO. Surely, no one survives that 12 rounds. But it's interesting. We're talking about this, and that was a great fight, obviously, with Nyika, but the thing we're almost more excited for is what's coming next. And that's the kind of culture we've managed to like build in boxing, is that actually almost what's more exciting than the fight now is the fight tomorrow. And I think it goes the same. Justis Huni, really confident, comfortable victory. A fight he should have been winning, but he did so in pretty emphatic fashion, and now everyone's excited for a possible matchup with Moses Itauma for the WBO interim. So, what do you make of Huni at 12-0 now? I thought it was a good performance.
Yeah, he did look impressive, but like I said, I think that's what they're aiming for now, is the Itauma fight to be for interim. Was it WBC or
WBO interim?
WBO interim. It'd be a massive fight for the two of them, because they're still, in terms of, what would it be, 10-0 or 9-0?
11-0 versus 12-0.
Yeah.
WBO Global versus WBO Intercontinental.
That's a pretty big fight. And they're both quite young as well, in terms of their career and everything like that. But
19 and 25, yeah.
He's 20 and 25 now. He's just turned 20, hasn't he?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I fully expect Itauma to be knocking on the door of world titles come the end of this year. So I think it's a really good step for him.
One for the 5v5?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it really could be, and it depends on the dates, doesn't it? Because I think it's that May 21st or something. It is that if they want to get a technicality of Moses Itauma, youngest heavyweight, before Mike Tyson, they want to do it before that date. And obviously, it's not a full title in the way that Mike Tyson did, but it's certainly an impressive feat if he does do it. And so I think it depends how those dates match up, but it would be great to see, and actually, it's a great opportunity for Justis Huni as well to say, look, I know Moses Itauma's, the real deal. He's going to be special, but I'm special now, and really lay his claim as a great heavyweight. So I think that's just another brilliant fight. Teremoana Jr. obviously made his.
You said his name wrong. I know his name's Teremoana Jr., but that's not the fun way to pronounce his name.
I'll let you do it then.
Teremoana. I'm doing David Diamante's way. What a performance again. This guy, honestly, for me. People were talking about Justis Huni potentially fighting Moses Itauma. What about this guy?
Oh, no.
This guy. I know it's a little bit early on, and maybe I'm on the hype train already, but he could cause Itauma problems. But what a performance again. Another stoppage win. And I want to say there's another showdown under March 11th. So,
yes, with George Kambosos Jr., Sky Nicholson.
Get him on there. Keep him active. I think that's the most important thing now, is that he gets as many learning fights in as possible, and then fights Moses Itauma in May time. I'm only joking. God, you boys think I'm being... There's no way he touches Moses Itauma.
You very nearly got a big bite there if you hadn't said anything.
Until world level, and I think he's a little bit off that now, but there's still some big fights for him to be made, and with all these amateurs who have turned over from Paris, they're not going to be taking the normal route of a professional boxer from debut, are they?
No.
They're going to be not rushed in a way, but they're going to be taking step-up fights in almost from their debut up until wherever their first title is going to be. But yeah, I think now the next sort of step up for him is to fight someone with a winning record and see what he's like there, and potentially do it over 10 rounds as well, because at the moment he hasn't got many rounds under his belt at heavyweight as a professional since the Paris Games. But one fight I do want to see him in professionally is him and Shalom.
Yeah, that would
be incredible
at some point down the line to make that fight. And I do think, he's only 26. I actually thought he was going to be a bit older than that when I had a look, because obviously when people come through the amateurs, you sort of presume they're a little bit older. So he's got plenty of time as a heavyweight to sort of build himself up.
It's impressive as well how many talented Australian boxers are coming through.
Massively.
They've had over the last few years. Just look at this card, and then obviously got the likes of Sky Nicholson as well, who's basically dominating women's boxing.
George Kambosos Jr. You've got
that's the entire card, ain't it? Let's be honest. Down under.
What's his name? The young lad Max McIntyre fought just before Teremoana, I think it was, and I thought he looked really quality. It was a real sort of mature performance. He was outboxing the guy, and then the guy managed to work him out a little bit and started building himself back into the fight. And he thought, actually, no, I need to change it up. I need to do something else. And then eventually managed to, set up the shot to get the finish as well. Win the IBF Youth title. So I think he's definitely one to watch for sure.
And he's ranked now as well, ain't he? In that body, so he's another one that should be making that next step up now, fighting more competitive fights, and because it was quite an early stoppage, he can come out again on that March card as well. And I want to say he's a big ticket seller.
I'm sure. Yeah, I think he's a local lad to the Gold Coast, I believe. So it does help with Brisbane and whatnot. They just that the plans they have and Matchroom have with Tasman fighters to put on more cards in Australia, I think it's great. I think it's exciting.
I think we were saying it was a matter of time before they start putting more regular shows down that way. So with the amount of talent that's coming through, and they've got plenty of time on their side as well, and plenty of exciting fights to look forward to. So I'm sure we'll get plenty more shows over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely. Another part of the world which has lots of brilliant fighters and lots of exciting fights to be made. Back up to Yorkshire. Callum Simpson obviously beat Steed Woodall in pretty emphatic fashion, albeit maybe a little bit of a disappointment on on how early it was stopped, but I suppose it may have only been delaying the inevitable. We'll never find out now. What do you make of the card, Ben? I know you've had a few things to say about it.
Well, we spoke to me how it'd be important for boxer to have a good year, because last year wasn't the best from them in terms of what they'd put on, especially in the UK. They had some half decent moments, but yeah, it felt a bit flat to me. What do we have, 7 rounds out of the whole main card, and obviously it can't be out in a way because the main event was stopped probably a bit earlier than you would have liked. Dubois' fight obviously ending in a draw, which is a bit of a there was a bit of a nightmare there. Even though she was winning comfortably, she was gonna get the stoppage. It was just a bit of a shame the way it ended, but yeah, there was some impressive performances, but at the same time it just didn't feel like it made any massive dents.
Yeah, like you say, I think a lot of it couldn't be helped. I think likes of I thought Sam Hickey's stoppage against Lewis Howes was just an impressive stoppage. It wasn't a sort of mismatch at his point in his career, really. It was just a really impressive stoppage. The Caroline Dubois thing, like you say, I don't know how I feel about that as a rule set, as a thing that can happen. It almost feels, if you're losing a fight but you've got a cut in the early half, it's almost in your cut man's best interest to just butcher it in order to get the fight cancelled. You don't have a loss on your record. I'm not saying for a minute that that's what I think the opponent could do, but that is something that could be exploited if you wanted to. Your cutman could just get in there and, instead of putting the Vaseline on it, just kind of knock it open a little bit and say, come on now, I'm
not being funny. I think her corner, Kamara, was saying that she's not going out for that next round. There's no way. The cut man was going to her coach. Look, listen, that's it. That's done now. It's too open. And yeah, it was a good... I agree with you in a way about the ruling. I don't know. Is it meant to be 4 rounds that have to be completed?
Minimum of 4, yeah.
Okay. So they were only, 2 rounds off it.
Yeah.
But
they didn't even get into the third, did they?
But how that needs to be adjusted is obviously a women's world title fight. It's only 10 rounds, not 12. So the 4 rounds is a quarter of the fight. 2.5 rounds is a quarter of a fight in a women's world title fight. So in theory, do you do 2 or 3 rounds?
It's 4 minutes they fought for, so it's not like it's just over a full round in men's professional fight. So it was a shame. I think they treated it kind of as a win, because they even though it's gonna go down as a technical draw, she looked so good again and so comfortable in it. But yeah, it was just a shame that it had to end the way it did.
Everyone will know what really happened, and she can now make a big fight, I think, with Terry Harper, and that's the one. We called for it last week. We'll call for it again. I think it has to happen. Caroline Dubois has come through with absolutely no damage from that fight. So that date they have set for March time, I think it is. Lauren Price, Sasha Jonas. Yeah. Get it done.
And Ben Shalom and Eddie Hearn again along now.
Best mates. So, yeah. I know. It's crazy.
It's incredible. They're both ringing each other. Whatever Turk Galashaker's doing, keep doing it, because it's brilliant. Everyone's coming together, and if they can make that fight, I think that will test Caroline Dubois, but also test Terry Harper, because I remember last year I made a prediction where I said I don't think Terry Harper's still got it, and then she proved me wrong, didn't she? And that'll be an incredible co-main event. And yeah, looking through the card, another impressive performance was Scott Forrest against Devon Miller, and I thought when I saw this fight get announced, I thought to myself, Devon Miller can cause him some problems here, Scott Forrest, but I wasn't expecting Scott Forrest to get him out of there within 2 rounds and do it with ease. Knocked him down in the first, and then the referee stopped the fight then in the second, which, fair play to him, what a performance. And he's another one now. What do you do with him?
Right, he's eyeing the winner of Vidal Riley and Isaac Chamberlain, so I think that'd be the next move for him.
You talk about competitive fight cards a boxer putting on. That one in February is very competitive, but I wouldn't be against that. But Lewis Oakford, I think, could be a good test for Forrest now. Obviously, Oakford coming off that loss to Alois Jr. Put him in against Oakford. Obviously, Oakford beat Devon Miller twice in the pro ranks, a couple of times in the amateur ranks. So that could be another step up. I thought the weird thing about this card was the free YouTube stream was more competitive than the actual main card.
Yeah,
in terms
that is
of
odd.
what the fights were like. I thought Billy Deniz had an incredible performance. Mauro Silva, who we saw up in Barnsley, he looks quite good, and he's definitely someone to keep your eye on. Someone to keep your eye on as well. Ellis Price with another brilliant performance. So yeah, it was a weird card, I think the word is to say, but that main event, I was happy for Callum Simpson because everything that he's been through after that fight in August, I take my hat off to him, because I think to show that much courage to come back into the ring. He didn't have to come back, but this is his life, and yeah, just fair play, and what a performance. And now he can move on to bigger and better things now. And when you look at the next couple of fights that he got lined up, all roads lead to a sellout Oakwell Stadium come summertime.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't remember who I was saying this to recently. I was saying that with Callum Simpson, it's absolutely no surprise he's the ticket seller he is, because he's such a lovely guy. He does so much within the community, makes such an effort to be, part of his community and make Barnsley proud, that it's absolutely no surprise that he is as big a ticket seller that he is. And not to mention the fact he's a very good fighter on top of that as well. So yeah, huge respect to Callum Simpson. Great things to come. He's obviously talking about the Liam Cameron fight possibly next, which I think would be a great fight if Liam Cameron's willing to come down to super middleweight.
Sells really well.
If the Whittaker fight can't be made, then I think that does sell really, really well. And actually, I think Liam Cameron possibly comes in with that fight with Callum Simpson with an even higher sort of respect from everyone. Everyone's got a lot of respect for him after that performance against Ben Whittaker. And if Ben Whittaker doesn't want that fight, or if the money's not right for the fight, or whatever the instances are, if they say, well, let's get in with Callum Simpson instead, then absolutely everyone's going to go, fair play Liam Cameron, needs a wheelbarrow for his nutsack, because there's nothing, not a fight in boxing he's not willing to take. And in All Yorkshire Clash, we said it, an All Northern Clash with Mark Jeffers, an All Yorkshire Clash, go on then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
either one of them two fights would be massive. Obviously, I'd feel slightly bad for Jeffers if he had to wait again for another shot, because he's been more than knocking on the door. He's been smashing the door down at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's just been flying through everyone, and I think he deserves a big shot or a big fight that's definitely in 2025, because I think he more or less said himself 2024 felt like a waste of a year of his career. But yeah, I'd really like to see Simpson and him, but the fight there, if it's not with Whittaker, with Ben Cameron, then yeah, that'd be Liam Cameron, it'd be really good to watch as well.
Yeah, so a great week of boxing, actually. I thought we said it's a bit of a more quiet January. Obviously there's been the issues with Inoue's fights and things like this, but we've got a huge February and March coming up anyway, so
we're just used to having too many big cards.
Yeah, it's certainly not anything to worry about, I don't think. In other news, the Ring Magazine awards came out. They're obviously second most important awards behind the Puncher's Chance ones. Just some of the news on there. Usyk Fighter of the Year, I believe it was. Usyk also got Round Award for that robbed. Round 9.
What?
The famous Round Award. Round of the Year.
No, he said Dubois got robbed.
Dubois got robbed of Fighter of the Year.
Nah.
How thingy some people
You can see why Usyk was given it, but the Round of the Year, mate. I really thought that was going to go to the one you boys seen up in Barnsley.
Joe Laws McKenna was robbed on that one. Absolutely robbed.
How many knockdowns were in that one round? Was it 3?
I think it was 3, yeah. 3, 2, but also it wasn't 3 to 1 fighter, it was 2 and 1. It was just, if you haven't already, check out one round, phenomenal. But I mean, it was a great round, that round 9. Let's not. How many times have we brought up that round 9 since?
Well, it was the difference maker on that night. Like, if he didn't get that knockdown, he doesn't win and doesn't become undisputed champion. And
true.
We got Tyson Fury sitting here still fighting and not retired.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, seems like it. So
I think every boxing fan that round 9 we all had the same reaction. We just went all mental when we were watching it. We just couldn't believe what we were seeing. Tyson Fury did a circle around the ring touching each rope. It was a great round. Another sort of award that I felt like, he fully deserved was Billy Dibb. What a story. You talk about a story and talk about a comeback. What a comeback from him, and very inspirational, I think is the word to say about him. And I found it quite funny that he was the only one that came with a proper script. I thought, I think Saras came one who won
What about
upset of the
Dubois?
year. Yeah. Happy
Interesting.
New Year. No, I think the award ceremony was good. It's good to see it back as well. I think that's something that Turki Alashaykh's trying to do now. He's trying to bring boxing back up to that level that it used to be at. Obviously, he's bought the Ring magazine now. I think you said that it's meant to be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they've got the one out for January. I think you can get it online.
now?
I think you can get it, but I've got a bone to pick with you, Turkey, if you're listening.
Oh.
I know you are. $7.95 for delivery. So I'm not paying 18 quid for a magazine every month. No chance. Sort it out. Make the free delivery, and I'll pay for the subscription. Otherwise, I'm getting the digital because screw paying £10 a month and £8 a month on top of that for one magazine. Sort it out. But yeah, it's exciting times. It is exciting times. I'm trying to think where else.
Fight of the year.
Fight of the year was
Ray Ford and Kolmatov.
Yeah, I mean a great fight to be. I didn't expect it necessarily, but
No.
it was a good
I
fight.
think that was going to be the winner. It's
No.
remembered for the last round, I think, more than anything. But
Not even the last round, the last 10 seconds, wasn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
Incredible.
What else
Itauma
did we
winning
get? Prospect of the year. Bruno Saras, like you said, upset of the year.
Gabrielle Van Dorter winning
Yeah,
female
the
fight
only
of the year.
female.
The only woman in the big photo they took of all the Ring magazine fighters. It's a difficult one. I do wish it does feel like an afterthought, women's boxing at the moment, in terms of Riyadh season and Turki Alashayk, and there'll be plenty of boxing fans out there that feel that women's boxing is an afterthought, but it's certainly not an opinion I hold, and I think there's some brilliant female fights to be made, and if you just push it now, there'll be some even better ones to be made in the future. So I do hope we see more than just Sky Nicholson, Raven Chapman as a sort of tick box exercise.
regularly, I think.
But I mean, she seemed happy to be there. She seemed very smiley in the photo, at least. There was, I mean, that photo was quite funny to see. There was it Teofimo Lopez in the background,
Yeah,
bought his
with the
belt, which cracked me up
It's just a meme now, ain't he?
a little bit.
Yeah. Don King as well, winning the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, I mean,
Wasn't expecting that.
there's a lot of controversy around Don King, but to certainly you cannot suggest what he's done for boxing isn't impressive. He's put on some phenomenal cards and done some phenomenal things at a time where less people were doing the things they're doing now, whether you like what he does or not, or what he says and who he is. Beyond that, just a small little fight that's being made. Tweeted out this morning by Turki Alashayk. Is it Conor Benn?
Biggest
Chris
fight
Eubank
in
Jr.?
Britain, some people are calling.
Well, if Fury is in fact retired, possibly it is.
Literally. It's the Battle of Britain, boys.
Yeah, it's being made. It's going to be the first Ring magazine card, it's believed. So separate in theory to Riyadh season. It's going to be in London in April, I believe is what they're currently talking about, and it has, by all accounts, been signed. How excited are you boys for it?
Super excited.
I think it's about time that we finally get it. I think it's going to be good. I think the build up to it is going to be brilliant. I think that's what I'm probably most looking forward to, because I think the fight is pretty much very one-sided in who I think is going to win.
Do you think so?
Well, you said to me that it was one-sided as well.
I wouldn't say it's one-sided. I think
I think we all know who we're going to pick.
I'm
We're all going to
confident
pick
who
the
I
same
think will
name,
win, yeah.
aren't we? Let's be
I think
honest.
probably, but either way, I think it is a really exciting fight, and like I got somewhat torched previously for saying I don't care for that fight so much, and I hold that to an opinion because I think I'm disappointed it didn't happen years back rather than anything. But if it is happening now, I'm not going to pretend I'm not going to be watching, and I'm not going to be enjoying it, so I will. But
First fight for Conor Benn in years as well in the
Who do you
UK.
think could win? Just
Chris Eubank.
yeah, I mean, I do think he's the weight difference, and Conor Benn's
That's
been
the
out the
big
ring for a
difference.
while.
I think there's talking points of rehydration clause as well.
Yeah,
that
I think how difficult
Eubank
it is going to be
can't
to put on that weight without being able to have any more scrambled eggs. I mean, it's going to be difficult for him.
Allegedly.
He's going to have them fried or poached, or just raw. He can't scramble them. That's the issue. So I don't know. It's going to be a really great fight. And
What stadium are we going for in London, or do you think it's an arena job?
I think it's an arena job.
Yeah.
O2 in it, probably.
If it's April, it's football season, so it ticks off or crosses off most football venues in London. I think Tottenham Hotspur Stadium's too big, Wembley Stadium's too big, so I would say probably the O2, most likely.
I reckon they do Tottenham. I think Turki Alashayk will go to Tottenham and say, I want to do a fight card here.
They'd need a big undercard to fill a 70,000 seater stadium. Or
5v5? Put on the undercard?
But it is a.
But
it's
then
not,
is that a worthy main event? Then
it's
as a
also not.
5v5
Yeah, it's
card?
not a. It's not a. I think the 5v5s will very much be in Riyadh. I think that's a Riyadh season show. Whereas obviously with this being a Ring magazine show, it's going to be slightly different in terms of the fights we get. I think we will have a really strong undercard, and it will probably be one of the best domestic cards of this year. In terms of in the UK. But it would have to be one hell of an undercard. And the difficulty is, all the big names in boxing right now are fighting in Saudi Arabia.
February 22nd.
So you're not necessarily going to be able to get any real big names. You know, there are great ticket sellers in the UK, but it's going to be difficult. You know, do we see a Johnny Fisher come back on April 14th? Perhaps. You know, that's a fight we could see. I say come back, but you know, another fight after the last one, maybe. And it's a great ticket seller, but I think it'll take a lot to fill Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Hell of a lot.
Early prediction, then I've given mine.
Chris Eubank Jr., I think.
Yeah, we're all going the same.
Yeah. I always say
Listen, come fight week, I'll probably change my mind.
Yeah, probably.
Listen to a Gareth Davis interview.
For me, it always falls under the weight classes for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, Canelo Crawford, I think Canelo wins because of the weight categories and et cetera, et cetera. And I think it'll be a difficult test for Conor Benn, but if he does win it, then, you know, fair play, you have to say. And, you know, there's I think what we could see, which would be quite exciting going forward, and there's been a bit of a back and forth for, is the drug cheat, you know, face-off between Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, I haven't even mentioned. That was at the Ring Awards as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were facing off, and it's, you know, scrambled eggs versus Osterin. It was a good fight.
Not a bad face-off there, isn't it?
It's going to be. It would be it would be a funny,
That would
crazy
be,
build-up.
Now that's worth
Incredible
$19.99.
to watch.
I'd pay $19.99 for that. I won't. I'll strip, but I would.
The
I'd be
press
willing to.
conferences for that would be brilliant to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just depending what sort of Ryan Garcia turns up.
And if Ryan Garcia is making welterweight
Yeah.
for the fight, then he doesn't have to have the fat strippers that he had, and he can have his pint on stage and be fine with it. So we're all good. Yeah, really exciting stuff coming up in general, to be honest. Any excuse to slander Ryan Garcia on the podcast, I will gladly
Feels like a
take.
long time since we've done that.
Yeah, it feels
been
good.
involved in boxing for a long
Exactly,
time.
it feels good. You know, we haven't mentioned Jerome Miller in a while as well. He's gone off the
let's forget about him.
gone off the boil a bit, but I wonder why that is. But yeah, exciting stuff to come. Have we got it's Misfits this weekend, isn't it?
Oh, Darren Till.
Wow, against
Oh my
Anthony
God.
Taylor. It's a shame because
At the co-op, like, I'll be interested to see if that entire arena sold out.
yeah, with a few cameras, I don't know. It's interesting.
Camera tricks.
Well, they do. They kind of cut it low, don't they, and fill the front. But I think I think what was it? Darren Till, Tommy Fury was meant to be a pay-per-view event.
Who's paying for
It was
that?
£20 for that.
That's the sort of message up in the group chat to Sam. Sam, chuck us over something.
Yeah. Find a Weatherspoons
yeah.
nearby.
Mad.
But even this, you know, it's two failed not failed MMA fights. Actually, that's harsh on Darren Till. Darren Till was but two retired MMA fighters.
Decent, yeah.
In Anthony Taylor and Darren Till. Like, who really cares? Apparently, people do. I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week's episode, number 76. We're knocking
Wow.
on the door. That we're getting there. We're in the back quarter towards 100. So if you haven't already, obviously subscribe on YouTube or follow on Spotify. If you wish, the full episodes audio on there, or video on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok as well. Ben's smashing the TikTok at the moment, so I don't know why I say it like there's different content on there. It's pretty much the same, but if you prefer...
No, it's not. We post some different stuff. It means then they're going to click over to it now and see what other stuff's on there.
But I'm just be honest with them. If you want to follow us on everywhere, then please do. But you can just follow us on 2 or 3.
Are we on LinkedIn now?
LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Threads,
Wow.
anywhere you can find us, we're there. So
Red Zone now as well, apparently. That's where we need to go next.
is that the
TikTok's
new?
getting shut down, so we might have to move over to that.
Controversial.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Oh, quick shout out by the way, because you're talking about TikTok, and you had the press conference where obviously Zhile Zhang Big Bang just stole the show.
Incredible.
What a man!
My favourite fighter.
I love him. The I'm gonna bang you, no Diddy, unbelievable. Giving Ajit Kayabala a letter, a Happy New Year letter, unbelievable, wasn't it?
They just wheel him out now for funny videos and at this point. But
Yeah,
that card I'm really looking forward to.
it is. I think, like Eddie Hearn said, the best card of all time. Isn't every single fight either a world title or an interim world title fight?
Yeah, it's crazy when you look at it. How good it is.
If we keep that preview under an hour, we've done well.
We have
even
done
an
really
hour
well.
and a half.
Yeah, because there's everything on there.
Yeah. That's the sort of card where you have to be watching it from minute 1 to the last minute, and you can't even take your eyes off it.
Yeah, it's going to be a long day, that one, but a long day that I'm certainly looking forward to. I'm just going to have a quick look how many world titles are on the line. I mean, obviously the WBA isn't on BoxRec, but I don't think there's actually any WBA fights other than the main event. Has one for Undisputed, so that would be what? Beterbiev, Bivol has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just 10 world title fights on that card.
Mental.
I suppose that's all right.
Yeah,
It's not bad going.
pretty average.
Crazy.
That is unbelievable.
Good
Fair
way
play.
to start
Fair
2025.
play.
And-
Now
and-
that's worth 20 quid.
Yeah,
Can I
That's
just
the
say?
same price as whatever shit show event they're putting on Saturday in Manchester.
yeah, cool. Yeah, mental. But
No, that's the same price then. You talk about that. Danny Aaron's Callum Simpson was
that's
19.99.
Danny Simpson, not Callum Simpson.
Callum Simpson. Oh, Danny Simpson. Sorry, Callum. Danny Simpson. What? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And just when you look at this card, what I love about this card, right, is you've got Beterbiev, Bivol, two predominantly Russian or Eastern European athletes. Daniel Dubois, Brit. Joseph Parker, New Zealander. Carlos Adames where's he from originally?
Puerto Rico.
Dominican Republic, so South American. Hamza Shiraz, Brit. Virgil Ortiz Jr., American. Shakur Stevenson, American star. Like Madrimov, Eastern European. Zhili Zhang, China. Ajit Kaibal, Germany. Everywhere. All over the world.
over
It's a
the world.
global event.
Everyone's going to be watching around the world.
British stars, American stars, Asian stars, everyone you could want on the
Good
same
job
card.
it's on DAZN. Everyone in
Yeah.
the world can get access to it.
Unbelievable. So we'll try it again. That just about wraps it up for this week's episode. Thank you all for listening and watching. Follow us, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and we'll catch you next week where we'll preview whatever's next week because I haven't looked at the schedule. Thank you
neither.
all for listening.
But punches chance. Punches chance podcast.